Matthew, the 5th chapter. I want to talk about, let's just pray first. Father, we thank you for your grace, for your mercy. And God, we ask that you would just be with us present now. In Jesus' precious and holy name, amen. I want to talk this morning about blessed are the pure in heart.
Yes.
And let me just read it. Jesus went up into the mountain. And when he went up into the mountain, his disciples, those who were looking at him. Remember the Bible says, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus in the 4th chapter of Matthew, Jesus had just went through, just come out of a campaign, so that we call today, of healing, delivering, casting out demons, and all of those things. But when he went up into the mountain, only his disciples, those who were looking unto him, saw him go up into the mountain. Very significant. Now, what that means is, there were people who no longer had demons. There were people whose bodies had been healed.
Right.
They didn't see him go up into the mountain.
All right.
They didn't see him go up into the mountain. See, only those who want Jesus, who understands that it's not about the religious system, it's about Jesus. And we so often, and we develop so many principles by which we approach Christ. And those principles cloud our view of God. And so what we wind up with is church, as we know it today. In fact, church, as we know it today, has pretty much been church, Christian church as it was from the very beginning. Hello? It's not a whole lot different. With the same motivations, with the same profound fear of God. I mean, think of it. Most Christians don't seem to understand how much of their service to God is based upon their profound fear of God. And when we come to God with such fear and anxiety, it's corrupt. It makes our worship corrupt. And what winds up happening is we begin to develop principles by which we can please God. This is exactly what Job did. This is why when most Christians read Job, they don't understand what God corrected in Job. See? What God corrected in Job was that Job, there are no principles to live by here. It's me.
Yes. All right.
Job, when you come to me, relax. Don't be afraid you're going to sin.
Come on.
Don't be afraid something is going to go wrong. Don't be afraid that if I don't make sure I light the candles in the proper sequence, God's curse is going to come on me. Relax. Let yourself be who God created you to be.
Yes.
And trust me,
Okay.
if we are in the world and we're seeing, we ain't who God created us to be. In fact, most of us don't have a clue who we are. Speak.
All right.
Speak. We don't have a clue who we are. And we will never find out who we are until we get in the light with God and our hearts become pure, and then we begin to see ourselves as God. No, not so much. See ourselves as the one God, who God created. I know we hear, well, see ourselves as God sees ourselves. Well, that's a good, it's cliche. But we're never going to be totally joyful and happy and free until we are who God created us to be.
Amen.
And so, when we're that, it won't matter who you are. You're going to automatically see who you are. And that's really not significant. See, it's being with him unafraid. That's what Job didn't do, because he had all of these principles of service. He had this liturgy, this ritual of worshiping God. Well, if I'm going to be a good Christian, I've got to come to church on Sunday. No, you don't. Speak. No, you don't. We have this, don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together. Well, why? For one simple reason. If there was hell out there, we can't hardly remember. Sometimes it's hard. I read something this morning I wrote over 2 years ago, and I don't even remember writing what you read that and said I wrote. And I thought it was good. And I'm thinking, I write that? fighting that. See? Oh, you understand what I'm saying? So that's what. So we need each other to be constantly reminded of who God is. And so most of us simply don't know who we are. And so we need to stay constantly in His presence. And we don't have to remember who we are. We don't have to remember who we were because we stay right there with Him at all times. We don't have, in other words, we don't have to remember the past. You don't. You don't have to know nothing about nobody else's past or your past. Stay right there with Him. And He will bring us into that place because He's redeemed us. He wants to do that. But when we don't do that, like Job, we start to develop principles of worship. This is how you worship God. And before long, it's law. And before long, we have denominations. And these denominations determine, well, are you Baptist, or you Methodist, or you Presbyterian? And you go on and on ad nauseum about that, and I really mean that facetious. Let me, and all of these things cloud our view of God. See, let me ask you a question. Maybe I'll get to that. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever awakened one day and you weren't afraid? Can you ever imagine a day in your life in which you were not afraid of anything? That's what it's like to not be in the presence of God. Always scared of something going wrong. Now imagine your life not afraid of anything. That's what it's like living in the presence of God. See, it's not that things don't go wrong. It just ain't none of your business. It's not that things aren't bad. It's just that it ain't got nothing to do with you. See? And the people that are afraid, well, you can't just live your life like some ostrich with your head stuck in the sand. Yeah, you can. Sure you can. If the sand is God. Yes, you can. This is the way life is. Life is like a basket of crabs. You know why they don't put a top on it? Because the crabs make sure the other crabs don't get out. You people, they're always pulling at each other. That's how life is. You people. And it causes stress, and anxiety, and fear. And we're governed by that. But God wants, so how in the world do you think we can possibly see God with all of that fear and anxiety around us? How do you think we could possibly see God clearly? When He wants us, He wants us to be joyful. He wants us to be happy. He wants us to be free. How can we see that if every day we get up? Fear. Fear. Stark, raving fear that we have tried to ignore. That becomes some pain in our body or some disease in our body or headache, some worry. Because we're just trying to deal with it the best way we know how. As Christians, we're going to have to, if we're ever going to be free, we're going to have to let go of the liturgy of the church. We're going to, because the church depends upon our fear. The church as we know it, I don't care what kind of church it is, if it's Berean Christian Center Church or if it's some other church, this church or no other church, Christian or otherwise, no other system of religion can exist unless you are scared to death. It is not in the church's proprietary interest for you to be unafraid. Because if you're unafraid, the first thing you're going to know is, all I need is God.
Yes.
I don't need the pastor. I don't need Pastor Neely, and I don't need Berean Christian Center, and I don't need any other church. I don't need Scientologists. I don't need any other religious system. It's not that I don't love these people. I don't love these things as such. I only need Jesus because I'm looking unto Jesus. I'm not just going to sit around and enjoy the fact that I've been healed and set free and demons have been cast out. But I'm trying to find out what he's doing. Because he's got the answers. I don't know, I don't have to know the details. Listen to me carefully. I don't have to, there's problems out there. And that's standing real nice. There's some problems out there.
You right about that?
There have always been problems out there.
Speak.
There has never been, the only time in our existence that there were not problems out there was that length of time, however long it was, or however short it was, before Adam and Eve ate that apple. Ever since then, there have been problems out there.
That's right.
And it's not going to stop until the sons of God manifest. You know what Romans 8 says? It says the trees and the rocks, all of creation, lions and animals and baboons and snakes and hyenas, they're out there. They're acting crazy, killing and maiming one another, but they're waiting for something.
My sweet Jesus.
They're waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. That is, those sons, those daughters who will totally submit to the purpose and will of God. And all of those, and all of that creation in you will humble itself before God. It may not happen in your mama and your dad and your sister and your brother or your spouse, but it can happen in you. You can be that son of God, where there's no longer any wild animals running amok. But the creation of God, the snakes and the adders and the lions and the tigers, they all get along with one another and they all eat straw. You don't have to be afraid of your baby sitting there on top of the adder's hole, scared you're going to get fighting, get bit, because that's what snakes do. Eat straw. They ain't worried about it. Because the Son of God is manifested. Now let me tell you something. It's none of your concern. It's none, as a Christian, as a child of God, as a manifesting son of God, it's none of your concern about all the trouble out there.
All right now. Amen.
Now you've already worried about it, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've already been concerned about it, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
You voted, see, and you worried,
Yeah.
see, and you campaigned, and you went to church,
Well.
and you believed in your pastor, and you believed in your church.
Yep.
And yet, I look out there and it's still going on. Oh, I'm sorry.
Careful now, careful.
It ain't just going on. It has done got worse.
Yes.
And even in our short lifetime, it's getting worse and worse. It done got its Hebonic, Pleasant Hill dialect, for it has gotten worse.
Worse. That's worse and worse. That's what the Bible said.
Wait for us.
Wait for
We've
us.
got to, if our minds and hearts are going to be pure before God, then that won't matter what's going on.
Amen.
Because all we're going to do is we're going to have a pure heart and mind. It's going to be looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of
All
our faith.
right now.
We're not going to let church get in the way, and we're not going to let the world get in the way. Now, I know it sounds like I hate church. Granted, I don't like it.
Speak.
I ain't mad with it. I love the people. It's just that the institution demands that we keep sinning. The institution cannot continue to function unless we do. And you can't keep sinning unless you stay afraid. I'm sorry, it just can't happen. You got to be scared of something. This is the key to it. Jesus Christ came to set those free. Hebrews 2, listen, who were all of their lifetime held in bondage and subject to fear of death. So you say, it is so pervasive. It is all around us. I mean, there's just nowhere we can turn. All we can do, the best we can do is try to develop some sort of principle by which I can try to forget it for a moment. So nobody will come and get me in a straitjacket and take me to see Cheryl. I'm making, when they get the straitjacket, you don't need to see them. You don't see them in the straitjacket. You try to see them before the straitjacket. Okay, damn. So if you get the straitjacket, it's too late for Cheryl. That's all I'm saying. See, what I'm trying to tell you, if you're ever going to get free, the church ain't designed to help you be free. It's just not. It is a proprietary institution that depends upon you being afraid and keeping and maintaining your sinful habits and lifestyle. Pure and simple. Because if you don't do that and you stop sinning, you'll be free. But the thing is, it's so pervasive, how can I stop? I mean, every time I turn around, I want to cuss somebody else out or say, just say what I see, just to speak off the cuff, you know what I mean? But let me tell you something. When you start to walk in the light of God, see, this is the beautiful thing. See, when you start to walk in the light of God, even though it's all going around, and you still got the stuff in you, I can never get over this fact. I got to stop. I can never get over this fact. God is so unafraid, and he loves me so much that he knows with all of the ugliness in me, and I'm being kind to myself when I say that, with all of the ugliness in me, he says to me, walk in the light with me. Come over here with me. I know you want to do right, and you try to do right.
Yeah.
When you read, David, when you read Romans 7, you get it. And I know you don't want to do that, but you do it.
Hello.
While you do it, David, because it's in your heart to do.
Yeah.
But you love me, and I know you do. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do for you. Don't try to change it. Don't do nothing about it. Except come over here with me.
Yes.
With all of that ugliness dripping off of me, he tells me to come walk with him. Because he knows that if I love him, and love is a prerequisite here. See, if I don't love him, this won't work. This is why it worked for Peter. When Jesus, when they turned and walked away from Jesus in John 6, and he turned to his disciples and said, "Oh, you gonna leave too?" And Peter said, "I ain't got nowhere else to go." See, when you come to that place in your life, and because you love him, you ain't got nowhere else to go. You stay in the light.
Yes.
Because you know outside of that light there's only hurt and pain and wound and viciousness. You know outside of that light, if you tell the truth, you make yourself a victim.
Better get out on you.
Oh, you understand what I'm saying to you? If you tell the truth outside of the light of God, you make yourself a victim, and they will gang up on you and put you and destroy you and hurt you and maybe even kill you. If you tell the truth outside of the light of God. You know it. And it makes you afraid. It makes you full of anxiousness. But when you get in the light, when your great struggle in life, when you contend for the faith just to stay in the light, then what winds up happening is he starts to teach us.
Yes.
He starts to show us.
Yes.
He starts to guide us. He starts to order our steps, not because he doesn't order everybody's steps, by the way. It's because of this. He begins to help us agree with him. And when we start to agree with him and we start to follow him, what begins to happen? Peace begins to come. And we get a little confident. Life is going good, you know. You're kind of like I've been on this diet now for 3 months and everything's going well. I feel good about myself. I think I can eat that ice cream now.
I don't think so.
Hello, it was the ice cream that got you where you needed this thing. It got you in that little chew bud out there. Now you think you can go back and eat it? Somehow ice cream has come all right again.
I still cheat.
Not any kind of ice cream, but Moose Crackers, yeah. You know. Are you listening to what I'm saying? And you start to walk with him, and you don't let yourself, you don't allow yourself to get confident in you.
That's it. Amen. Yes. Amen. Good. That was good.
See, when life starts to go well,
Thank God.
that's what, now, you know, if you ain't ready, that's when the time you might need to just go fast and pray.
All right now.
So, you don't develop confidence in yourself and principles of worship. Oh, life is going good. I know why they're going good now. It's because I pray every morning. It's because I seek God and I get up and I read my Bible for an hour or two. And in fact, I read my Bible every day, and that's why my life is going good.
All right now.
There's only one thing we need to know in life. And that's love. You know why God is God? Because he knows everything. He's all powerful. He's everywhere. He knows the past, the present, and the future. That's what makes him God.
Yes.
See, and when we get that apple, it was because Satan had taunted us to say God knows in the day you bite this apple, you're going to be like him. You're going to be like God. And we are. This is what the 82nd Psalm, or the 86th Psalm talking about. Elohim stands, Elohim singular, stands in the congregation of the Eloah, plural. God stands in the congregation of God. And what was God's promise? Because the Eloah wasn't obeying, wasn't doing what was pleasing to God, to Elohim. See, that's the thing that didn't happen when we did that apple. We didn't get all power.
No, we did.
We didn't get to know everything.
No.
We didn't get to be everywhere. We didn't get to know the past, the present, and the future. So here we are with all of this ability with no information as to how to implement it.
That's right.
So we've been developing principles, and all of those principles has clouded and given us impure hearts. That's what Job had. That's why he got up with his liturgy, his ritual. My children had a party last night. He knew when he was at a party, he got too loose. And if he got too loose, he may have said something, or done something, or thought something, didn't act like God wanted him to act, didn't act displeasing God, and because he was terrified of that. He said, I better go ahead and offer some offering for my child. And he said, oh, wasn't that nice of Job? He look out for his children that time. No, it was an offering that made out of fear. Listen. God is looking for the manifested sons of God who will be precocious in his presence. You ever seen that 2-year-old? Grandma and grandpa around, and they don't reserve. You know why they don't reserve themselves? They know grandma and grandma. They know mom and daddy love them.
Yes, they do.
And they know that whatever they do around grandma and grandpa, they gonna laugh, and they gonna hug them, and they gonna kiss them, and they are free.
Free.
When the last time you felt that way in God's presence? When the last time you were in God's presence and you weren't scared He was going to knock you in the head if you said something wrong, or you didn't get the word right, or you didn't act it wrong, or you didn't feel right, or you had a wrong thought? When the last time you were in God's presence and you didn't think about yourself? That's what God is looking for. God is looking for people who are so obedient and so submitted to His plan and purpose that they come into His presence just like a precocious 2-year-old, not thinking about themselves, just doing what they do.
Father, help me.
Do you know that God doesn't ever, that when God started, He never told us what we couldn't, well, I'm sorry, He never told us what we could do. Just be. Just be. He only told us what we couldn't do. And what we couldn't do was be God. Because we don't have the qualifications to be God. See, it takes more than a confession of biting an apple to be God. You got to know everything. You got to be all powerful. You got to have the ability to be everywhere. And you got to know the past, the present, the future. If you don't got that kind of ability, we ain't qualified to be God, but we got the mantle, whether we like it or not, because we bit that apple. And now we live in a world where we know everything, and we just keep looking for everything, looking here, looking there, and we got no solutions. So God Himself gave us a solution. Gave us a solution. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of faith, walking in the light as He is in the light, staying attached to the vine. And it's something, but if I stay attached to the vine, He's going to clean me. If I walk in the light, He's going to clean me.
Look at that.
And He's going to watch over me. He's going to keep me. And He's going to bring me to a place where I am so free that I no longer think about me and my hurt, pain, and I'm no longer afraid anymore.
Pastor David, isn't that to me, that was one of the greatest deceptions, is that knowing that God so loved you, but yet when you're going through, we get it mistaken with the devil, when the devil punishes you. And we get so sidetracked because our mind is not fixed on Jesus. It's so wicked till we think it's the devil. And I do remember you used to say, all that you're going through, it ain't the devil, it's God. And we so confused because it just doesn't make sense that it doesn't add up.
Well, but this is the thing.
Speak.
This is why I say it's something real simple. When you're going through, pay attention to how you feel.
Pay attention to what now?
How you feel. Pay attention to what you're thinking about. Pay attention to who you get angry with. Pay attention to who you blame. That's what God is doing. He's trying to raise up those enemies that live in you. Okay. Raise up those enemies so they can fall before you and they never frighten you again. And you never have to develop principles of worship anymore. You know how we do it. Well, if she's going to say that to me, I'm never going to her house again. That's a principle of worship. It's the same thing. It ain't no different than the principle of prosperity. I'm scared of being poor, so I develop money, a way to get money in the church. It ain't no different. The principle is exactly the same. No variance whatsoever. All God is looking for us to do is to come into His presence and let Him do what needs to be done in us.
Amen.
No worry, no anxiety, just let Him do it. He'll clean us of all of that stuff. Stand your feet, let me go.